Hey guys, this is Mr. Bennett. This is Unit 4 for Cell Energy, and we are talking about Note 17, Photosynthesis Part 1. So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about why plants even use photosynthesis to begin with. Why don't they just go out and get some food like us? You know, go to In-N-Out, get themselves a little burger, get some fries, right? Animal style, whatever. Maybe plant style, I guess, because they're a plant. But anyways, so why do they use photosynthesis? Well, kind of what I'm getting at here is they use photosynthesis to make their food. But why don't they use it? Why can't they just go get food? Well, it turns out that photosynthesis, okay, plants, or at least plants' ancestors, evolved photosynthesis as a way of accessing energy that is very plentiful and is really, really easy to get. And by that, I mean light. Okay, we've got a sun out there. Sun is constantly producing light, tons and tons of light, and that represents huge amounts of energy. So what plants do with photosynthesis is they take the energy from that light, they combine it with water and carbon dioxide, and in return they get food. Okay, later on, when they need to do stuff like grow, repair, reproduce, things like that, they can then take that food and they can turn it into usable chemical energy known as ATP. So food is really just a way of creating a long-term storage for energy. Okay, so photosynthesis is going to make that food, and then later on they can access that food for energy. So the big goal is, again, food. That's what photosynthesis is all about, making food. Okay, so in order to get a really, really good grasp of photosynthesis and how it works and kind of the process, we need to understand the anatomy of a chloroplast. That's because the chloroplast is where photosynthesis occurs. It is the organelle, if you will, of photosynthesis. So if we're to break down the anatomy of a chloroplast, the first thing we have is it is a membrane-bound organelle. So it has an outer membrane. Okay, no fancy name for it, just an outer membrane. Okay, and then inside it has an inner membrane, and the inner membrane actually has a special name. It is known as the thylakoid. Okay, and the thylakoid is hugely important. You need to know this term. Okay, it is the inner membrane of the chloroplast. Okay, if we look at one of these little structures that the thylakoid makes, it is known as a granum actually. And then if we were to look at a stack of those structures, they're known as grana. Okay, and so the reason why these guys are important is this is where you're going to find the pigments. So the reason why plants have the color they do is because they have pigments stored in their thylakoids. Okay, now there's one other location in the chloroplast that we need to know, one other piece of anatomy, and that would be all this empty stuff in here. And it's not really empty at all. In fact, it's fluid. So we need to know what the fluid is that fills the chloroplast. It has a special name. It's known as the stroma. Okay, so just like how the cell has a cytoplasm that fills it, the chloroplast has a fluid that fills it. It has a different name though. It's called the stroma. All right, and this is also going to be responsible for a portion of photosynthesis. So my next little point here is, how do I remember which is which? Thylakoid's kind of weird, stroma's kind of weird. Okay, what's our trick? Well, there is a trick, and it turns out that what I do is I remember thylakoid as, I think of them as thick pancakes. Okay, because it kind of look like stacks of pancakes. So I think of them as thick pancakes, and the T in thick stands for thylakoid. And then if I have pancakes, I generally put syrup on them. So I think of, whoa, that didn't come out very well there, but anyways, so I think of the stroma as being the syrup around the pancakes, the fluid. Okay, and the S in syrup stands for stroma. All right, make sure that you've labeled your chloroplast.